President Buhari signs revised 2020 budget into law. Federal government says continuation of petrol subsidy payment is unrealistic. In international news, Covid-19 batters U.S. hotel industry. Many hotel rooms may never reopen. And later, sport. Premier League admits VAR made wrong decisions in 3 Thursday matches.
This is ANN News.
₦11 trillion. The president says the budget had to be revised because of the effect of coronavirus on the nation's economy. He said ministries, departments and agencies will be given 15% of their capital allocation by the end of the month. Vice President Yemi Osinbajo, Secretary to the Government of the Federation, Boss Mustafa, Chief of Staff to the President Ibrahim Gambari, and the leadership of the National Assembly witnessed the signing. President Buhari says the timing of the budget is to keep with the January to December budget cycle. Nigeria has recorded 499 new Covid-19 cases, bringing to 30,748 the total confirmed cases in the country. 24 states, including the Federal Capital Territory, all recorded new infections. 157 cases were confirmed in Lagos. Edo State was behind Lagos with 59 cases. The Nigeria Center for Disease Control says 5 deaths were recorded on Tuesday. This is the lowest tally so far this month. And CDC says 12,546 patients have been discharged. The health agency also announced 689 fatalities. The federal government says the country can no longer bear the burden of petrol subsidies because the system only favors the rich and leaves the middle and lower class in abject poverty. Minister of State for Petroleum Resources, Timothy Silva, says after a thorough examination of the economics of subsidizing BMs for domestic consumption, the government found it was unrealistic to continue annual petrol subsidies of trillions of naira. The minister said the federal government would no longer continue as the main supplier of petroleum products, but would encourage the private sector to take over the role of supplying the products across the country. Silva says market forces will henceforth determine the pump prices in line with global best practices. It says the government will continue to play its traditional role of regulator to ensure unified commodity pricing. President Buhari has approved the suspension of acting chairman of the Economic and Financial Crimes Commission, Ibrahim Magu. He has been immediately replaced by the Commission's head of operations, Muhammad Umar, in an acting capacity. Umar will oversee the activities of the Commission pending the conclusion of the ongoing investigation. The President has issued a directive that Magu step aside to allow for unhindered inquiry by the Presidential Investigation Panel. Magu has been in detention since his arrest on Monday and has requested for bail on self-recognizance. Meanwhile, Vice President Yemi Osinbajo has asked the Inspector General of Police, Mohammed Adamu, to investigate an allegation by the suspended EFCC acting chairman, Ibrahim Magu, that he collected 4 billion naira from him. In a petition to the IG, the Vice President has accused Jackson Ude, former Director of Communications to ex-President Goodluck Jonathan, of publishing false claims against his office and personality. Osinbajo's lawyer says if the allegation is proved to be false after investigation, the Inspector General of Police should initiate criminal proceedings against Ude. Vice President Osinbajo has denied the allegation and describes it as baseless. Organized civil servants in Niger State have again rejected a state government plan to slash their salaries. Organized labor unions have opted for a special prayer session to ask for divine intervention in the matter. The state government informed workers and state labor unions a week ago of plans to reduce their salaries by 30%. Those of local government employees were cut by 40% because of a shortfall in revenue receipts from the federation account. Labor leaders have threatened to go on strike if the state government goes ahead with the plans. Chairman of the State Trade Union Congress, Comrade Yakubu Garba, says civil servants in Niger State were not part of the beneficiaries of state's COVID-19 palliatives, so their salaries should not be slashed. Coming up, African stories. Youth unemployment worsens in South Africa as a result of COVID-19. And later, international news. COVID-19 batters U.S. hotel industry. Many hotel rooms may never reopen.
You are watching ANN. Somewhere in the world, every second of the day, news is happening. And of course, Nigeria is bustling with news day and night. That is why ANN doesn't sleep. Our eyes are peeled, wide open, so no story escapes our radar. We stay abreast of world events and happenings at home. We keep you up to the minute in the world of sports. We give you information to stay on top of your investments and all the hard facts you'll need to navigate your day. If you miss us on air, you can keep up to date on our website and on our social media platforms, Twitter, Instagram, and Facebook at ANN Africa TV. We are ANN, Africa News Network. We do news right in a truly African spirit.
Welcome back. This is ANN News. The United Nations Department of Economic and Social Affairs has said in a new report, in order to boost employment for young adults and bring social benefits, countries, especially in Africa, would need to unlock business opportunities. South Africa may need to check this out as COVID-19 worsens youth unemployment in the country. Correspondent Julie Shuo reports.
Frustrated and desperate mining honours graduate Chimongatsu Radzuma has taken to the streets to find a job. Despite high hopes, he wasn't to access the economy since graduating in 2017.
It has been a rough 2 years. Sometimes you need toiletries like soap to bath, everything. Sometimes you have to buy clothes and find that there's not enough. Yeah, and right now the situation is worse because like I'm expecting and my wife is pregnant. I'm trying to look for a job, trying to sell myself out there. Probably maybe somebody or someone will hire me.
Jobs have become more scarce since COVID-19 lockdown, but Radzuma is optimistic his luck will turn as the economy slowly reopens.
I do have hope, and I believe that despite of this COVID-19, probably I'll find a job somewhere. I do get a job despite of this crisis. I do have hope.
Mass job losses are, however, expected in the coming months.
Employment rates for youth in our network have dropped by about 20%. And so, if we extrapolate that to think about what that might look like for youth in South Africa in general, that could equate to up to 880,000 youth who potentially have been impacted in terms of their employment opportunities through this COVID period.
Some youngsters have capitalized on the COVID-19 outbreak by adapting their businesses. Efforts are also being stepped up by government to create jobs.
You have to look at a set of interventions that can help young people think about what opportunities they can create for themselves, what we would call in the informal economy space, and how you can effectively grow programs that can help young people to earn an income in their communities themselves.
South Africa's youth unemployment rate was close to 60% before the pandemic hit. That figure is likely to worsen with the recession deepening as the country tries to navigate its way out of the health crisis.
Chinese First Lady Pen Luan has thanked African First Ladies for their support to the Chinese people during the difficult time of the Covid-19 pandemic. In appreciation, the Chinese embassy in Zimbabwe has delivered a batch of anti-epidemic materials donated to 53 African countries by the Chinese government. Here is a report from the Zimbabwe Broadcasting Corporation.
The latest international support by China through a contribution made by the Asian nation's First Lady Professor Luan Peng to assist African First Ladies in the fight against COVID-19 comes as the continent battles the pandemic, which has impacted on the social and economic development of nations. The Chinese embassy handed over the anti-epidemic supplies to the Organization of African First Ladies for Development, or AFLAD, through its Vice President and Zimbabwe's First Lady Amae Auxilia Mnangagwa in Harare this Tuesday. While presenting the donation, wife to the Chinese ambassador to Zimbabwe, Mrs. Wang Wei, noted that the international support from Professor Peng is another hallmark that symbolizes China's commitment to help combat the virus in Africa.
Today we're here to hand over a special donation. It is part of an initiative for the whole of Africa by Professor Peng Liyuan, wife of His Excellency President Xi Jinping and the WHO Goodwill Ambassador. Both Professor Peng and Her Excellency Amae Auxilia Mnangagwa are exemplary leaders in promoting health care, empowering vulnerable women and children, enabling human development and the general betterment of our society. Today's donation from one caring female leader to another is a celebration of this love and goodness that makes us human.
On behalf of the Organization of African First Ladies for Development, the organization's Vice President and First Lady Amae Auxilia Mnangagwa expressed gratitude towards China's latest international support, saying it helps the continent to adequately prepare its responsiveness to the global health crisis.
We applaud her for taking the lead in coordinating and implementing this international partnership to eradicate the common enemy and to create a healthy and stronger global community with a shared future that is COVID-19 free. Going forward, I am sure that the Organization of African First Ladies for Development, through the able leadership of the First Lady of the Republic of Congo, Her Excellency Madame Antoinette Sassou Nguesso, will be more than happy to continue working with Madame Peng to complement our government's efforts in improving health systems in African countries and under the auspices of FOCAC. At a personal level, I look forward to working closely with Madame Peng to further contribute towards the strengthening of bilateral relations between our two countries.
Since the outbreak of the global health crisis, African First Ladies have been playing an active role to spearhead a humanitarian response to the pandemic, an initiative that continues to be scaled up by the First Lady Amae Auxilia Mnangagwa on the home front. Theophilus Chuma, ZBC News, Harare.
Algeria is tightening travel restrictions to limit coronavirus infections and says it is reimposing travel ban today, Friday. The country will also increase testing in a bid to stop a rise in coronavirus infections. The government announced under the new measure, citizens will be barred from traveling to and from 29 provinces, including the capital, Algiers, for a week beginning Friday. The government said in a statement, Algeria is tightening travel restrictions to limit coronavirus infections. Restrictions and curfew hours were eased last month in some provinces. The North African country has reported nearly 18,000 confirmed infections and 988 deaths.
Somewhere in...
When we return, international news. COVID-19 batters U.S. hotel industry. Many hotel rooms may never reopen. And later, sport. Premier League admits VAR made wrong decisions in 3 Thursday matches.
You are watching ANN. World, every second of the day, news is happening. And of course, Nigeria is bustling with news day and night. That is why ANN doesn't sleep. Our eyes are peeled, wide open, so no story escapes our radar. We stay abreast of world events and happenings at home. We keep you up to the minute in the world of sports. We give you information to stay on top of your investments and all the hard facts you'll need to navigate your day. If you miss us on air, you can keep up to date on our website and on our social media platforms, Twitter, Instagram, and Facebook at ANN Africa TV. We are ANN, Africa News Network. We do news right in a truly African spirit.
Welcome back. This is ANN News. The United States formally notified the United Nations last week it will withdraw from the World Health Organization, and President Donald Trump said the decision will take effect on July the 6th next year. The decision has been criticized around the globe.
The United States has formally notified the United Nations it will withdraw from the World Health Organization. President Donald Trump says the decision will take effect from July the 6th next year. The Senate's top Democrat on the Foreign Relations Committee, Bob Menendez, says it will leave Americans sick and America alone. Joe Biden, the presumptive Democratic Party nominee set to face off against Trump in November, said on Twitter if elected, the U.S. will rejoin the WHO. And the head of the Senate's Health Committee, Republican Lamar Alexander, issued a statement coming out against Trump's decision. He says the move could interfere with clinical trials that are essential to the development of vaccines.
Meanwhile, in the midst of what has turned out to be a devastating spread of coronavirus in the U.S., many industries are facing interminable problems. Hotels in the country are in serious financial trouble in the midst of the devastating coronavirus pandemic. Correspondent Sarah Walton reports.
In the heart of New York's financial district, the popular Wall Street Inn is used to 90% occupancy. Now just 20% of rooms are being used as the coronavirus keeps most travelers at home. But determined to stay open during the pandemic, the hotel is keeping guests and staff safe with enhanced hygiene and safety precautions.
We pay attention to all the little things like elevator buttons, remote control, switches for the light. We do sanitize those, and we're expecting the arrival of a special aerosol gun that will clean the air and all the surfaces in guest rooms.
In New York, many hotels have agreed to strict new cleaning protocols, but it's estimated procedures like these could cost the industry across the country up to $9 billion a year at a time when demand for rooms is down sharply. Already, some businesses have not survived the virus.
This hotel recently announced it's closing permanently because of COVID-19. And the Wall Street Journal reports that 20% of New York's hotel rooms may never reopen. State and local tax revenue from hotels across the country is predicted to drop by nearly $17 billion.
Together, Hilton and Hyatt have announced more than 3,000 international job losses, with a domino of additional cuts expected.
As we started 2020, we had about 900,000 job openings in the U.S., just in our industry alone. Of course, all those are gone, and now we've had millions of job losses. So it reverberates beyond just the hotels to all the other businesses that support those hotels as well.
Some hotels are eligible for the federal government's Paycheck Protection Program, but it's not meant as a long-term solution. Experts say hotels won't recover until tourism and business travel return.
I think we'll see the industry offer promotional pricing and various incentives to try and prime the pump, if you will. There will be some immediate bump, I think, from those people who have deferred trips. So in the near term, we're expecting leisure to recover first, and the expectation is that corporate and group travel will take a while longer.
In the meantime, the Wall Street Inn says safety measures won't stop their warm welcome of guests.
You may not be able to see our smile because it's behind a mask. Doesn't change that.
They're confident the industry will recover. It just may take some time.
The new coronavirus pandemic has had devastating effects on youth employment across the globe. In our previous segment on Africa, we reported that South African youth unemployment has worsened as a result of COVID-19. Last week, we reported the same about Egypt's youth. Correspondent Juliet Mann now reports from London that COVID-19 is also worsening youth unemployment in the United Kingdom.
These university friends had it all mapped out. This summer they'd travel and return home to starter jobs. But the pandemic put that on pause. Now psychology and criminology graduate Georgia thinks she might extend her education.
As soon as we went into lockdown and people stopped going to work, I thought there's no way I'm going to be able to get a job. It was kind of like no one in the industry wants you because they're trying to sort out themselves first. I was always going to do a master's, but I plan to do it next year. But it's the only really secure thing that I can know that I can have.
Holly wanted work experience in magazines, but found internship programs had disappeared.
All of my kind of game plans have been completely shifted. I think everything's going to take a different direction just because I feel like all different jobs are going to arising out of this situation. There's a lot more things to do with like environment and sustainability, which I hadn't even considered before. I'm looking at volunteering at a food bank or different charities just because I really want to be doing something with my time at the moment. I really do need like a sense of structure and purpose, especially as I'm not going to be finding a job in the near future.
The Organisation for Economic Cooperation and Development says the pandemic has had a huge impact on jobs. Unemployment by the end of 2020 is projected to reach 11.7% in the UK. If there's a second peak, 1 in 7 people in the UK might be out of work. And just like after the 2008 financial crisis, the young are at risk of becoming the biggest losers.
This time around, we have to do better, and we need a comprehensive set of measures that help young people who might have different problems. We have to think about some form of job guarantee, not only for the European countries, but for all countries, to make sure that we don't lose the corona generation.
The UK Finance Minister's emergency package to boost the COVID-ravaged economy focuses on jobs, with a $2.5 billion scheme to protect, support and create thousands of roles for young people, including traineeships for those facing long-term unemployment.
Trades unions and think tanks support moves to get Britain back to work, but they point to problems that predate the pandemic by a country mile, an acute skills gap and lack of apprenticeship schemes. They want more focus and investment in Generation Corona, because the way out of the pandemic won't get very far without a workforce.
Up next, sports. Premier League admits VAR made wrong decisions in 3 Thursday matches. Please stay with us.
You are watching ANN.
Welcome back. This is ANN News. In sport, Premier League have admitted that the Video United's 3-0 win over Aston Villa. James Ward hit the bar after a disputed penalty as Southampton drew 1-1 with Everton, and Tottenham should have had a penalty for a Joshua King shove on Harry Kane in a goalless draw with Bournemouth. The Scottish FA has confirmed Premiership season will kick off in August as part of the Scottish Government announcement of Phase 3 of easing lockdown restrictions. The government has also said clubs can arrange friendly matches with immediate effect. Both friendly and competitive games will be held behind closed doors. The Scottish FA board is also discussing an appropriate timeline for the phased lifting of its suspension for other parts of the professional and non-professional games, including the remaining 3 SPFL divisions, the Scottish Football Pyramid, Women's Football and Grassroots. That is ANN News this evening. Thank you for joining us. For details on these and other breaking stories, visit our website, annafrica.news. Conversation continues on our social media platforms, Twitter, Instagram, and Facebook at ANN Africa TV. I am Olajumoke Olatunji. Have a safe weekend.